Man, this is awesome. This is Planetary Health First, Mars Next. Michael Mann, the host, with Randy and representing Orthogonal. And this is kind of a wrap up. What's up, Randy?
How are you, Michael? Good to see you.
Yeah, great to see you. Man, we had a great time. It was amazing. We were at the MedTech Conference live in Toronto, just having such a great conversation with so many leaders in healthcare. And we also had like a really super cool salon party with, who was it with? Who was that gentleman?
The keynote speaker was a guy named Tom Hale, who's the CEO of Aura, as in the Aura Ring, which is a very exciting player in wellness technology that's now getting into medical device technology.
Yeah, so I think people might know them or know him and Aura Ring. And of course, but the thing that was really cool is, unfortunately, the reality is the real good sizzle sometimes just aren't on social media. We just, but that was like what I think one of Randy's coolest, what I would call like the salon style 40 real key healthcare leaders, and that was awesome. So maybe next time you'll expand that. I don't know, but I really appreciate you inviting me. So anyway, it was awesome. And so what's up with this MedTech conference? I know you're with AdvaMed. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so AdvaMed is the U.S. Trade Association for Medical Device Manufacturers. They used to be all manufacturers except medical imaging, MRI, CT, but they actually merged in with the organization that represents those. And this is the first year where they had their annual meeting in Toronto this year. It's all over the country each year, or all over North America, I should say, each year. They had their annual meeting in Toronto, about 4,300 people. And in my opinion, it is the single best and most productive gathering of people in medtech anywhere. It's so this year was 4,300 people, I think, which was a record for them. But it's that's a size that's good. There's a lot of people there. There's a lot of depth, but it's not so big that it turns into an utter zoo. You can really connect with a lot of people. A lot of great people come out to speak and to talk. So if you want to kind of get a pulse on what's going on in medtech or get specific questions answered, I don't think there's really much better of a form unless you get to some really specific niche ones targeted at certain kinds of diseases or certain kinds of roles within medtech.
Cool. No, that's awesome. And so we covered a huge amount of ground in 2 days, 17 interviews of some amazing companies, Randy. I mean, like Shiva Med, Sensei, Corvista, Vibrato Medical. Where else do we go? I mean, ResMed, Butterfly Network. Am I leaving out? I mean, there's 10 more to go.
SBR Therapeutics, Hologic, Carl Stores, Click Therapeutics, Nanoware, Ravana, Teladoc, Edwards. I think that's about all of them. It was 17. It was extremely productive and extremely exhausting.
Yeah, no, it was. But what I loved about the curation of these interviews, they were handpicked, hand selected across the board, topical, high and, really valued leaders in that, from very early startups to ResMed, Hologic, publicly traded entities, Edwards Life Sciences. And what we're going to be doing is what I'm really super excited about is we're going to be giving exclusive access, curated access to those really special interviews by all these thought leaders at those organizations, with putting that on your newsletter, Orthogonal. I'm going to also do exclusive releasing that on Planetary Health First, Mars Next, with our write-up. So really want you guys to be on the lookout for that.
Yeah. I think what I'm really excited about is this is a conference so there's probably a couple 100,000 people in medtech in North America. Only 4,000 of them or so are able to make this conference. So a lot of people don't get access to the sessions that go on there and all the interesting people. And candidly, even if you attended the conference yourself, you'd probably have to attend it 50 or 100 times to actually get to all the content that's there. One person can't cover it. So what we really tried to do here was do a deep dive for the Planetary Health First audience on medtech and what's going on in medtech by talking to this real range of really interesting leaders and pioneers, I would say, in the space. Really kind of bringing you the best from Toronto in 17 compressed segments.
Yeah, I felt like I was so selfishly learning so much from all those thought leaders. I'm thinking of Nanoware, that had some super amazing technology to who? I mean, just some of these I mean, we can't say but so much because we'll be releasing them. But what else for you? What were some takeaways that you gained?
Yeah, so I can give you a couple of key summary points that I think span a number of the interviews. First of all, there is still a lot of white space in med tech. There are a lot of just new technologies coming out for diagnostics, monitoring, and therapeutic that are really breakthrough and powerful. And these are advances across biology, chemistry, physics, and then sort of silicon code, machine learning, AI, data. And the combinations of these things is tremendous. So we talk to people with really interesting things going on in neurostimulation. Digital therapeutics is such a cognitive behavioral change, especially in partnership with working in conjunction with pharmaceuticals. Ultrasound therapy, so using ultrasound to make changes in the body. In vitro diagnostics augmented with artificial intelligence. You have some kind of a tissue or some kind of a pathology sample in a lab that you're then putting together with AI. People doing interesting things with remote care, both primary care and digital surgery kind of things, remote surgery. So there's just a lot of stuff besides just software that's really interesting. We're still making strides in this industry. That's one. The second one I would say is I think since COVID, there was sort of the craziness of the COVID era, and then there's sort of this bubble of funding in digital health. Just a crazy amount of money went in, much of it to some pretty harebrained ideas that probably shouldn't have been funded in the first place. And then the bubble sort of popped, and all of a sudden it got to be really, really hard to get money for anything, and things got a little leaner. The government wasn't paying as much money out for healthcare. And people kept saying, like, when are we going to be at the new normal? When are things going to kind of like settle down? And I think finally this was the year that it felt like we're in our new normal, our post-COVID new normal in med tech. I will tell you, the new normal is not as much fun as the old normal was, but it is predictable. I think much more predictable than it was. And that's a really healthy thing. Couple other things I saw. I mean, really, it's all AI all the time. It shouldn't be a big shock, but Mark Andreessen said software is eating the world. Software is definitely eating medical devices. And if software is eating the world, AI is eating software. More and more of the value of medical devices is coming from software, and more of that value is coming specifically from AI, machine learning. So there's just huge opportunities here. And I think everybody felt, people we talked to across R&D, clinical affairs, commercial, executive leadership, they all feel that like we're just at the very beginning of this process. So
Yeah,
a lot of interesting trends.
Yeah, I like the fact that we had sort of appropriately with Digital Therapeutic Alliance, because I feel like a lot of these companies are part of that, ushering the new wave. How do we care? Like one company was covering tracking PTSD and really interesting with eye tracking and pain management. So I think going forward, like how we and then the resonation with with Edwards Life Science, all about taking care of patient first and driving better business. So anything else? I learned so much. I wish I could say, from every 17 interviews, but then you wouldn't listen.
I'll say one other thing to point out that it was really interesting. The last session that happens every year at this conference, or just about the last session, is called the CDRH Town Hall. So basically the leaders, the medical device side of the FDA, get together and talk about what's going on. And it's fascinating to watch. This is a meeting between regulators on the stage and their regulatees in the audience. And it actually felt like kind of a love fest. People in the industry are really grateful for the FDA and how they partner collaboratively, let industry help them better regulate so that we can ensure safety and effectiveness of devices, but in a way that really does facilitate innovation and new things in business getting done. Whereas you'll still get plenty of complaints that the FDA is actually pretty good to work with, all things considered, for the job they have to do. They're pretty darn good to work with for bringing new devices to market. The bigger challenge people have is they complain about how am I going to get paid for it, and the lack of clarity or the lack of innovation around that. So that's a pretty neat thing to see, just that sort of broad satisfaction, I think, in general, with the relationship between regulators and the companies they regulate in a highly regulated industry.
And I feel like you saying that, Randy, a lot of our conversations were with those regulatory, experts. And, we had the CEO, co-founder, early founders that had a lot of years of experience. So everyone was so, knowledgeable. And those interviews almost I see as, such a informative way to understand the whole landscape as well.
Yeah, yeah, it's an exciting time. I think there's a lot of terrific things going on. The next 10 years promise to be very interesting, and I think very rewarding to people in the industry, and hopefully very healthy for the patients that we're serving.
And so this, I guess next year is in San Diego, so you got to bring your surfboard.
Yes, yes, I will see you surfing, or if you, I suppose, if you have the right credentials, you can go over to the Top Gun School and take an F-16 out if you want, you know. But no, it's going to
Yeah.
be a great conference. I urge anybody in the industry, plan now to get out there next year. Hopefully, we'll be out doing interviews again.
Yeah, I would love to. All right, until next time, friends, maybe on Mars, but probably most likely on San Diego's area.
All right, Planet California next time.
Yes, sir. All right. Awesome.